Alrighty, my tacticians, as we brace ourselves for Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu to arrive in November, let's take just, like a few minutes to just talk about some of the Pokemon that we are going to be battling with in in the new generation and see just how competitively they are stacked without their precious items and their abilities. So, as some of you might know, Impy is going to be trying his darndest to get Let's Go Eevee. Actually, I've already reserved my copy of Let's Go Eevee with the Pokeball plush. So, as soon as it comes out, I'm going to be having that new game, and it's so awesome. But in any case, let's get on to what I was really wanting to talk about in this video, and that is the competitive viability of Pokemon from Generation 1 compared to what they were during Generation 1. Not comparing them to their Generation 7 counterparts. So let's start off with one of my favorites from Generation 1. It's gonna be Jolteon. Now I'm not gonna lie to you, tacticians. I did start with Flareon, but you know Jolteon just always seems to have had a special place in my heart when it comes to a competitive Pokemon. I always seem to run with a Jolteon somewhere along the lines in the team. Now, as many of you may notice or have seen when it comes to my battles, I always run a Quick Feet Jolteon. A lot of people prefer the Volt Absorb Jolteon to counter other Jolteons and just other electric types in general, and to scare out people using electric attacks. But I prefer the Quick Feet Jolteon with the Flame Orb for the massive doubling of speed of, as you can see down there, a 130 speed stat, doubling that into a 260 speed stat. Oh my goodness, there are not a lot of Pokemon that can outspeed a Quick Feet Jolteon. However, in Generation 1, there were no abilities, so no items. So I can't use my Quick Feet Jolteon, so I'm just gonna have to rely on a pure timid natured Jolteon set. Just hope to outspeed a lot of my opponents. As for abilities, I'm not sure if they will keep the breeding mechanics. The recent breeding mechanics from like Generation 3 and onward. I'm not sure about Generation 2. I never really did any breeding in Generation 2, or not. Yeah, Generation 2 was Gold and Silver. But Generation 3 onward, I did try to do some kind of breeding when it came to, competitive Pokemon, but I never really got into competitive until Generation 6. And as far as abilities, or not abilities, but movesets go, Jolteon actually has quite a diverse move pool. And this is, of course, talking about Pokemon and for Generation 1. I think they're going to be following the Generation 1 mechanics of all Pokemon will be using one stat in particular, but I'm not sure if they're going to actually do that. If they do, however, do that, that makes Pokemon like Jolteon have really powerful sets of moves. For example, Double Kick, Pin Missile, and of course the ever popular Thunder. And why not just go for that last resort? These are moves that normally you would never run together on the same Pokemon, especially a Pokemon like Jolteon, because everyone uses like special attacker, so why would you run a double kick on Jolteon with Pin Missile, as well as last resort on a special attacking Jolteon? Well, back in Generation 1, you could actually do that, simply because Jolteon back then, or because Pokemon back then all had the same attack stat, and I think they all had the same defense stat. So why wouldn't you run these moves on one Pokemon, especially if they're all going to be doing the same or using the same stat? As far as team goes, I don't know what team they're going to be working on, so I'm not going to look at those. Same thing when it comes to egg moves. I'm not sure what kind of egg moves, if they will even allow egg moves in those games. But if they do allow the egg moves, well, we have access to these moves as well. So we got access to the stored power. We also have access to the Synchronoise. I personally love Synchronoise Jolteon, but that's just me. That is just me when it comes to a Pokemon, a competitive Pokemon. I like to bring out the strange, and I like to bring out those moves you would not think about, those moves in the far left field, or that you just don't want to bring, that you just normally wouldn't bring. Plus, it's also a good counter to other electric types, other Jolteon lovers, for example. Now, speaking of Pokemon that rely on their abilities and items, Gyarados. There's a reason why I picked Gyarados here for a second, and that is because Gyarados' dual typing of water and flying makes him exceptionally susceptible to electric attacks. And a lot of Gyarados out there rely on the Intimidate. They really, really rely on that Intimidate to go into their Mega Evolution. However, I don't know if I think maybe Mega Gyarados was also shown in Pokemon in one of the Let's Go Eevee Pikachu trailers. So Gyarados will be able to at least counter its electric type weakness, but without like the focus sashes, etc., so it can do its dragon dances. It's gonna have a real hard time without being able to rely on just its Mega to do all that damage. Speaking of its Mega, it's not going to be able to gain that mold breaker ability, so it won't be able to deal with certain Pokemon that would otherwise have a sturdy ability. In fact, there won't be any sturdy Pokemon at all, so it doesn't really matter. So people will just be Mega Evolving their Gyaradoses all over the place. One, to help counter against electric attacks, and two, to give themselves the extra firepower that they need for when they actually go up against these Pokemon. Now, speaking of electric types, one of the fastest Pokemon in the game, especially during Generation 1, is the Electrode. People make fun of the Electrode line, Voltorb and Electrode. They make fun of those two Pokemon, but guess what? Electrode has something that a lot of these Pokemon don't have. Without their abilities and without their items, that speed stat is now the fastest you can rely on now. I said I love my Quick Feet Jolteon because nothing outspeeds it. Well, guess what? Without my Quick Feet Jolteon, without that Flame Orb to increase the speed of my Jolteon, Electrode now has that super fast speed. 150 is something not to make fun of. And sure, its abilities aren't the best, but guess what? It's not going to be using those abilities anymore. It's just going to be using its pure speed and relying on its decent special attack stat. While it's not nearly as powerful as the Jolteon, the speed is what makes it very dangerous. There are not a lot of Pokemon that can outspeed Electrode in Generation 1. And believe me, I've been taking a look around. I've been checking. Without Mega, you can't outspeed Electrode very well. And speaking of Megas, we're going to look at Charizard right now. So, they revealed that Charizard X and Charizard Y will be allowed, but of course, without the abilities. The Pokemon like Mega Charizard X, without the Tough Claws abilities. What does Charizard X really have going for it besides the dual attacking capabilities of its attack and special attack? With a very decent speed stat, it doesn't have a lot going for it. So, unless you're just going to use a mixed Charizard for, your competitive battles, you're not going to be really bringing Charizard X, because normally when people bring Charizard X, it's to bring that Tough Claws ability. And if otherwise, they would otherwise bring Charizard Y for the Drought ability and the powerful special attack stat. But again, without the Drought ability, what does Charizard Y have going for it? Just that really powerful special attack stat right down there. And it's, it's increased in its special defenses, by the way. So, without the abilities, what do these Mega Pokemon have? I mean, we all saw the trailer for Mega Kangaskhan. It was able to Mega Evolve, but it didn't have its, it didn't have that second punch. Didn't have the parental bond ability. So, why would you bring a Mega? Just for the power and just for the stats. That's pretty much the only reason why you'd bring the Megas. Now, speaking of Megas and powers, I was talking about Pokemon that could not outspeed the Electrode. Well, Mewtwo ain't one of them. Mewtwo isn't able to outspeed Electrode even on its worst day. However, when it goes into its Mega form, well, it still can't if it goes into Mega Mewtwo X, I believe, I'm not sure if Mewtwo can Mega Evolve oh my goodness, I am studying. If Mega Mewtwo can't or doesn't make it into Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu, correct me if I'm wrong, but even if it does make it, there's only one other Mega that can really outspeed it, and that is Mega Mewtwo Y. I believe also Aerodactyl can outspeed Electro, but again, not 100% sure. And now that I do a second look, Mega Mewtwo Y can't outspeed can't outspeed the Electrode. So if the natures are allowed and if the natures match up, Electrode outspeeds Mega Mewtwo Y any day. So, oh my lord, a lot of power in just the raw stats. And again, you don't have those abilities that Mewtwo and all these other abilities have. So that makes it question, what Pokemon would you bring for Generation 1? You're going to bring in Pokemon that have really powerful stats in a certain area, and you have to really think about what moves you're going to give them, because without their items, without their abilities, it's just going to come down to your stats and your personal strategies and tactics against your opponent. You can't rely on a Focus Sash to save you to give yourself a Dragon Dance boost. You can't rely on, Life Orb Pokemon with sweeping capabilities to just sweep aside all your threats. You gotta rely on those abilities, or not abilities, but you gotta rely on your status conditions. You gotta rely on your speed stats. You gotta rely on all your other stats now to be able to carry the day without your abilities and your items. And speaking of abilities and items, I'm afraid we're gonna have to say goodbye to a lot of our, Eviolite capable Pokemon, especially Pokemon that really rely on certain abilities. For example, Little Eevee. Now, Eevee may be on the box cover, and it may be, one of the signature Pokemon of Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, but I highly doubt Eevee is going to be able to stand up against some of the Titans I just showed you. I mean, even its evolved forms, Jolteons, and all the other evolutions, they can kick Eevee's butt without its EVM-Z moves its EVM-Z move and all of its other abilities. Without those stats, etc., what has Eevee got going for it? It doesn't have a lot. Eevee doesn't have a lot besides its cuteness. I mean, its best it's got would be adaptability, but without the ability of adaptability to increase its, normal type attacks, what does Eevee have going for it? Other than just being cute. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about Generation 1. There's going to be very interesting, combinations of teams now, because we won't be able to rely on items anymore. We can't use our abilities either, so we're going to have to really think hard about what Pokemon we bring to battle. So that's all I have to say. I'm going to be trying my best to get, Let's Go Eevee and get it going as soon as possible. Just gonna have to wait until November when it drops into stores. I've already reserved my copy. Big thank you to everyone who's helped me thus far, and I really hope to see you in the future generation. Because Nintendo Switch is going to force everyone to, pay for an online service. So I'm going to have to pay like $20 a year to be able to battle you guys. If you guys are going to join me in those battles, I hope I'll see you then. But until then, I'm Imperator Davis, your Fedora Rusher. I'll see you all next time. And hey, I know this is the first time I'm actually going to be saying this, but if you really like the video, if you really like the information I'm laying down, and if you really want to help support the channel, maybe either give the video like a like if you really want to. I'm not going to force you. And if you really want to help support the channel, give the channel a subscribe. I try my best to upload videos as much as I can. Try to be as informative as I can, and as you can see, I'm not trying to clickbait, etc. So I hope I see you kitties in future videos. Until then, bye bye.